So let's continue after we've met Bali and some of the considerations that you might have had already after just watching a 2 minute video. So just for because I haven't been in your discussion, of course, but I've done this discussion in all my classes so far, and there's always a few topics that come up, right? So several people point out the technical difficulties. Yeah, for example, Bali has to, as a Samsung product, has to maybe talk to your iPhone. It has to talk to your window screens. It might have to talk to your television and all sorts of other things. Of course, the software is very difficult to write and so forth. But everyone always mentions maybe some concerns. How do you feel about having a robot take care of your dog? How do you feel about having a robot in your bedroom? Who sees all this data? What do they do with this? What else can it do that may or may not be good, in any sense? And these are topics that really relate to ethical consideration as they relate to artificial intelligence, so digital technologies as artificial man made objects that exhibit some sort of intelligence so that can reason about certain things that they experience and in case even take action, right? It might be as simple as cleaning up the mess that your dog left behind, or realizing that you're about to do a yoga pose and giving you a backside view that would assist you. But of course, beings that are intelligent to realize these sorts of situations could potentially also do other sorts of things. Yeah. Now we want to continue, and the next thing I wanted to show you is that this is not a topic of the future, right? So you can't buy Bali yet. It's still in development. It's a concept of a prototype of that several technology companies are interested in because they allow you to get into the last frontier, your home, yeah, into your private house where we don't really have a lot of the economic um, prosperity around technology yet. So this could be one of the last markets that is really open. So I'm going to give you an old example. Old meaning an example from 2013. This was, in fact, a campaign by the United Nations and the Women's Task Force, who were launching an advertisement campaign, well, with big posters that looked like this, um, where they attacked basically Google search. Your Google website, when you put in a simple search and you type in certain search terms, it gives you recommendations based on what you're likely to search for. Yeah. And you could still do this today, and you can still enter things like today. So what this advertisement was, or this campaign was, is what happens, what Google gives you for recommendations when you type in women should or women should not, women need to, women cannot, women can't. If you want, you can do the same thing now, and you can put in professors should, or men should, or any other types of group should or should not do, and then you get recommendations such as these. Yeah, women shouldn't vote, women need to be controlled, women cannot drive. And of course, this campaign led to quite a lot of media attention and upheaval. And there was quite a bit of attack on Google itself, basically arguing your algorithm is biased. Your algorithm is not promoting gender equality. Your algorithm is basically a white old dude. Google, on the other hand, replied, well, no, 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 no. Our algorithm isn't at fault. It just feeds off data based on the frequency of search term that people put in. Yeah, so it's not our fault. The algorithm doesn't do anything. It's people's fault that because most people type in women need to be put in their place and women shouldn't vote and so forth. So there was quite a bit of debate 10 years ago about who's at fault here. Everyone agreed that this is not a good thing that an algorithm should recommend to people. What was less clear, though, was who was at fault. Is it the algorithm per se, as a constructed procedure that someone just put it in a, so to speak, wrong way? Or, as Google argued, it's society's fault. It's us. We are biased. And the algorithm just catalyzes or propels the badness in humans and the bias that we suffer, and the algorithm itself is neutral. So this was a very early, good example of the difficulties of making any sort of ethical judgment call, because it's not as clear cut. What are you going to do, right? So what if you construct the perfect algorithm, but the data that you use for this algorithm is really biased? Or conversely, what if you have wonderful data, but you construct a not so optimal algorithm? And of course, all of these things are basically perceptions in the eye of the beholder. So it's very difficult to be fair, equal, and so forth in the first place. Yeah. So this was 2013. And again, if you're interested in this, you can just Google it. It was the UN Women ad series. From 10 years ago. Here's one of the sources, and there's a few other ones, and there's a few videos made in response to this, and so forth. So this is not a topic of the future. It's not distant. It's actually right here, and it's been with us for quite a while. And one example that is with us right now, and I don't know about you guys, but in the university and the higher education sector, this is quite the hype right now, namely the release of a new piece of artificial intelligence called ChatGPT. ChatGPT is basically a chatbot, yeah, so an online tool, free and open, that you can use and you can have conversations with. And it's quite powerful, so to speak. So the conversations are really good. They feel very human-like, and very smart as well. And then people started to explore, what can it do? And one of the many things people try to say is, well, is it as good as a human being? For example, would it pass our entry tests and our exams from certain degrees that are quite difficult, say the law bar exam, or in fact a business school exam? And guess what? Like here from late January, it was found that ChatGPT, a robot, an artificial intelligence piece of software on the web, can in fact master the knowledge that we require our business students to learn. So what do we want you guys to understand as well? But of course, things are never as simple as it seems. For example, I tried it out myself. Yeah. So what I did in my egomaniac ways is I opened ChatGPT and I asked it, "Who's Jan Recker?" And he replied with a very good-looking, substantive answer. He's a prominent academic, of course, very prominent. A professor, does certain things and so forth, and does numerous things. So it looks quite nice, but if you look closely, there's quite a lot of errors here. So first of all, it says that I'm a professor at the University of Cologne, but as you guys know, I'm a professor with the University of Hamburg. Now, I used to be in Cologne, so we could say, "Hey, ChatGPT buddy, you got it slightly wrong." But then again, it's 3 years ago. Um, but there's a few more instances, and I don't expect you to know this, but there's actually quite a few of false statements here. Yeah, so I highlight a few. Haven't been a program co-chair of these conferences that I've named. I have been in part an associate editor, but that's just also not really correct. And I've received several awards, perhaps, but one thing I certainly didn't do is receive the AIS Early Career Award in 2011. That's just not true. And in fact, it didn't even exist. This award doesn't exist. So what I did is I told him, it's a conversation chat, but I said, "Hey, I didn't. Chandreka did not win an AIS Early Career Award. Why would you think he did?" So I asked the Chat GPT the question. By the way, I know that it's me. It didn't really pick up on the fact that I'm asking about myself, but that's a different matter. And then I got a very interesting response. He apologized. "I'm an AI language model and I may sometimes make errors." Well, okay, that's fine. "To my knowledge," speaking about himself, "Jan Recker did not win an early IS Early Career Award. I cannot speculate as why you thought he did. I do not have access to your thoughts and assumptions, but it's important to always fact check your information." So in a way, he turned on me and just screwed me over and turned it around and saying, like, I made the false accusation, and then gave me a lesson on how to do better fact checking. So this is just me playing around with this for a minute or two, but I hope you can see that it clearly has a whole lot of implications here that could be quite dangerous. This is a funny little example, but imagine people use a tool such as this, not just as a funny tool, but maybe to look up information. Maybe this is important information, such as what to do in an emergency, what medical aid to give people, whether or not to take certain drugs in combination, um, or in your situations, how to write, how to look up certain things that you might want to put into in a seminar paper, into your thesis or whatever. So you can easily construe use cases where people could do all sorts of things with very material consequences with a conversational chatbot that is open, free, and easy to use for the public. And that apparently not only makes mistakes, but also then reasons wrongly about some of these mistakes. Yeah. And for you to explore what is and what is not possible, I want to give you the second task for today, because I want you to try it out for yourself. Yeah. So if you go to this website here, you can log in. If you have a Google account, you can very simply log in. Otherwise, you can sign up really quickly. But in whatever way, I would actually like to ask you to log in and use this open chatbot for yourself and just explore what is possible and what is not possible with this tool. And we're going to give you a few minutes to see what you can do with this, what you've done and what you've learned and what you realized. Then we'll have a discussion, and once you're done with the discussion, I'll be back with a few more videos.